Good to have you back with us, Julia. This is an historic agreement after more than 2 years of war, an Israeli bombardment that's killed more than 67,000 Palestinians. Are you optimistic that this ceasefire deal will hold?
No, and that would be my usual answer. I wouldn't be optimistic at all. And I would be shy of calling this deal a historical one. Historical maybe only in the sense that people will have a good sleep tonight without being worried of being bombed. But we are not sure for how long will this ceasefire hold, considering how many uncertainties are in there and what is going to happen after the hostages are released. What is going to happen to Gaza if Benjamin Netanyahu's government decides to return there with another offensive under pretext that there is another security threat being posed? We don't know. So to answer your question in short, I wouldn't be very optimistic because at any point the offensive can be restarted.
And that is the concern, isn't it? That once all of the remaining hostages, dead and alive, are handed over back to Israel, that Israeli forces will simply resume its attack on the enclave. We know that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been under growing pressure not to accept any ceasefire deal from some of his hardline extremist cabinet members. How realistic is that prospect that when all of the hostages are released, the war will resume?
I think it's a pretty realistic expectation based on the past experiences that also that we were supposed to see another ceasefire, another peace deal going through in stages and phases, and it did not materialize past the first phase. Right now, there are good reasons based on the observation of the political situation within Israel and within Netanyahu's government itself that the same story will repeat. And that's how Israel continuously found reasons and pretexts to blame Palestinians that there is a security threat being posed to Israel. And we've also seen it happen not only on the territory of Palestine itself, in Gaza or the West Bank, but also on the territory of other countries like Qatar, infamous strike at Doha that they administered. Some would argue that hostages were not really a real leverage that Palestine and Hamas had over Israel, because as we've seen also, the Netanyahu government does not have a great deal of care for the hostages and their lives. Otherwise, something would have been done differently, and maybe more of them would have been alive, because more of them actually said dying because of the Israeli strikes and not anything else because of the Israeli offensive. So to what extent they were leveraged also is uncertain. I think they were to an extent because they were still the Israeli public that was pressuring Netanyahu into stopping the war and getting hostages back. But once hostages are back, this public pressure is probably going to be off, because the public largely supports, in the current information kind of bubble that Israel exists, the public supports the eradication of Hamas, which in mind of Netanyahu government means devastation, full devastation of Palestine.
And Julia, we know that it was in September that the world's top genocide scholars formally declared that a genocide was indeed happening in Gaza at the hands of Israel. Along with that, we've seen a growing number of Israel's Western allies declaring their support for an independent Palestinian state. To what extent has that growing pressure from all corners of civil and governmental society playing in getting us to this point now where we have Israel agreeing to this ceasefire?
I think the threat of growing isolation for Israel definitely brought us to this point of a ceasefire, when Trump also decided to push through with his plan and say enough is enough, even though he gave Netanyahu a carte blanche to do things the way they need to be done if Hamas does not accept the proposal. But still, what we've seen on the part of the European nations, it's a kind of a cosmetic measure done under pressure of their own public. It's a little bit too little, too late when there is no second state to speak about the two-state solution. There's no territory at this point under the proper control of Palestine to discuss. So that brought us to this politically compromising proposal that might not even hold past this first stage when the hostages are released. Because also we still have not moved the world, especially at the level of the world, the governments at different countries, at the political elite, did not come to the realization of the need to rectify the premises of how all of this started. We did not reach, we only reached to the point of the need to think about political expediency, but not the moral side of matter, not the justice side of matter, where actually much more needs to be done, much more justice needs to be reinstated for the second state, for the Palestinian state, to actually come to being in that territory that we're talking about.
Okay, Julia Roknifard, a pleasure to have you on the program as always. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.